Cuckoo, cuckoo, cuckoo.
Welcome back to Movies Outpost, and do I have a banger for you today. This crime horror movie titled Longlegs is probably the best I've seen in this genre, and I would like for you to stick till the end as I have a surprise for you. And as always, enjoy the recap. The movie kicks off with a title card from the lyrics of a song named Get It On from 1971 by an English rock band T-Rex. The movie moves along to a car ride where it eventually pulls up to a White House. Inside, a young girl does her homework and sees the car parked outside. Grabbing her Polaroid camera and going to investigate like a stupid moron, she just stares at the vehicle with a cloaked figure inside. Stopping as she hears a sound from behind, she honestly thinks she's Batman and a freaking detective and goes to investigate further until she comes across a pale white man.
There she is, almost birthday girl.
Saying he accidentally wore his long legs today. The scene cuts to the opening credits but gives us some very weird subliminal images along the way. Part 1, titled His Letters, begins with the FBI and specifically Agent Lee Harker alongside her other agents who are told to go door to door for a manhunt. Looking for a middle-aged Caucasian man who is not likely to go quietly, everyone is given their teams and told to begin the manhunt. Being told by her colleague to stay while he begins knocking, Lee gets a very weird feeling and gets out of the car. As if something is pulling her into the open, she stares at a specific house and tells her colleague that house has the man they're looking for. With her partner thinking she is stupid to call in something for no reason, he personally walks up to their door to make her feel better. Smiling and thinking everything is all good, he knocks on the door and Agent Harker immediately goes into shock, but knows she needs to go inside and sort out the f***er. Going through the house and moving from room to room, the whole place is covered in plastic sheets, and she eventually finds her perp upstairs. Holding his hands up, the scene cuts to Agent Lee inside an interrogation where
Can someone tell me what I'm doing here?
the FBI team there then conduct a test on her and begin loading up images and want the first thing that comes to mind. Moving to the next part, they want her to choose a random number from 0 to 100 and she chooses 0. Later on, Lee is sitting in the back seat of a car behind her superior Agent Carter as well as Agent Browning. Carter is very impressed that Lee got the random number generator correct 8 out of 16 times and calls her a half psychic. He then moves on to the matter and explains a family of 4 lived in a house in front of them for 12 years. 2 months ago, however, they were all found murdered, but with no one to detain, they presumed the father was the killer. Going into gruesome detail about the damage done to the family, Carter diverts and mentions a letter was left with the bodies. Claiming to have 10 letters like it, which was made by the same hand, it was left at 10 houses of 10 families over the past 30 years. All the papers were signed by Longlegs, yet they have no idea who he is, and have barely any clues. Once at the office, Lee is assigned the Longlegs case, as they are desperate at this point and are giving Lee's psychic or highly intuitive abilities a try.
Tell me what you see.
What do the families have in common?
All the victim families have daughters whose birthdays are on the 14th of any given month.
Getting to work and being assigned to look for anything, the grind begins. The first clue starts with a call from a father to 911 explaining that when his daughter is sleeping it's the best time to do it. With the officer trying to stop the man, only violence and catastrophe is heard. Going from call to call and seeing the horrific images from family to family, Lee has stumbled into a world of hell.
Harker, you know there's such a thing as looking too long.
I must have lost track of time.
I'm still thirsty. Come on, let's go for a drink. I'll drink while you tell me things.
Well, there's no signs of forced entry. In fact, forensics says there's no indication he was ever in the house at all.
Stating that all the victims died from something inside the house, which includes 2 shotguns, 8 knives, and a hammer. Longlegs never entered the house, as there is no trace of him being there. Suggesting Longlegs would have some help, it is time to leave, and since Carter can barely see, Harker drives him home. Once there, Harker is told to get out of the car and meet his wife and kid. Inside the house, we are introduced to Anna and Ruby Carter. Lee just sits there like a dope and honestly might be a bit of an introvert. Like, I'm being serious, I don't think she gets much human interaction at all.
Did you want to be an FBI agent when you were a little girl?
I actually wanted to be an actress.
Is it scary being a lady FBI agent?
Yeah.
And Miss Ruby Carter, it's tomorrow.
Can you come to my birthday party?
I'll be there.
Driving home alone, she jams a bit to herself and arrives soon enough. Hearing something in the distance, she ignores it and makes her way inside to a very weird home. Being covered all around with wood, I kind of like the design. Giving her mother a call, the two have a very awkward conversation with one another, and when Lee complains about her day, her mother mentions she was a nurse for many years and has seen her fair share of things as well.
Mom, I gotta go. I'll call you back, okay?
Hello?
With no one there, she goes to turn the outside light on and sees something f***ed up in the distance. Immediately grabbing her gun and going outside to eliminate whoever or whatever is there, she finds nothing. However, it would seem someone is inside her house. Going into full alert mode and moving from room to room, no one is there, but it would appear that someone left her a package instructing her not to open until January 14th. Part 2, titled All of Your Things, picks up with Lee immediately cutting the package open. Inside is a haunting happy birthday card with the same symbols that Lee is currently investigating in the Longlegs case. However, this time he has written English above the code but has not done the same for the back. Hearing more noises around, Lee opens up a Bible and flips it to the back. She then highlights the number 666 in the birthday card and realizes the code is satanic and begins deciphering it. Eventually, it reads a pretty horrific message that I'll let you read on your own so YouTube don't spit in my face. Getting a call from the FBI, the scene skips to the following day where Harker arrives to a crime scene. Walking inside the house, the entire forensics unit is there, and it seems Longlegs has struck again. The family there was planning a trip to Disneyland for the 9-year-old daughter's birthday, which is on the 14th of the month. Harker, who now knows the satanic code, decrypts the letter there, which says down low, too slow. Carter is perplexed that she has decrypted the language and tells her to get ready to throw up. Going to see the corpses. They've been in their spots for 1 month and is a horrific sight.
Hi, Mom. Anyways, I was calling to let you know that I'm gonna be busy now. I probably won't be able to make it.
Will I see you on your birthday?
I'll try.
Getting back to work, Lee goes through newspapers, articles, and everything alike dating back many years ago. Being the only person there, she continues doing her research and work and comes across something that might be very useful when suddenly. The next morning she heads over to Carter and explains she's discovered Longlegs' algorithm. With the first murder taking place on July 14, 1966, the rest of the murders occur within 6 days of the daughter's birthdays, creating an inverted triangle. Decoding all of Longlegs' letters, something that stood out was the repeated reference to the fun time at the Camera family farm. With a vicious murder taking place and the killing of a priest on site, the daughter was at school that day and was not killed. However, Lee believes she may have seen something there, and the last issue remains that the only number not circled on the diagram is only a couple days away, which Lee believes to be the next murder. With the only survivor being in a psychiatric hospital, the duo leaves, and the first place they head to is the Camera family farm. Why the idiots choose to go at night, though, completely bewilders me. Heading straight to the farmhouse, the two break inside, and I am not liking this plan or idea at all. Checking room after room as usual, they make their way upstairs to an empty space. However, they discover that something is beneath them. Using a crowbar, they remove the floor piece and find an upside-down triangle with a smiley face. They then discover a doll, and let me just say, f*** me. Taking the doll in for examination, it seems a highly skilled craftsman made it and for some reason has a metal orb for a brain.
The other night I could have sworn it was whispering my ex-wife's name over and over again.
Can the brain be opened up?
But it's not likely there's a solution to your case in there, because there's nothing in there.
When an ultrasound is conducted on the orb, it lets out a whisper-like noise, and this triggers Harker's psychic abilities and bugs her out in real time to see some weird things. Just then, the scene cuts to our good friend Mr. Longlegs. He turns out to be the highly skilled craftsman, and he places a black cloth over one of his dolls while telling it, "You are the dark." Some while later, our serial killer jams in his car and goes about his usual routine. Entering a small store with a young girl working the register, Longlegs decides to talk to her.
Cuckoo, cuckoo. What day is your birthday?
Daddy! That gross guy is back again!
At the mental asylum, the boss there explains that in the 8 years he's been there, Carrie was slumped in her chair and couldn't be spoken to. But out of nowhere, she received a visitor and is practically normal again. Showing them the log, Lee immediately notices the handwriting is Longlegs, and without ID required, he was let in. Speaking to Carrie Ann, the girl reckons she's seen Lee Harker before and knows she's been to her farmhouse, saying she was stuck in a long and dark dream. It is finally over. Going back to that dreadful day as a kid, Carrie Ann had obtained one of Longlegs' dolls as a birthday gift. Soon enough, however, her family was sort of seduced by this doll, and her father murdered the priest as well as her family while she was away on a trip. Mentioning she had a visitor yesterday, Anne claims to want to do anything for him and the man downstairs if they asked her to. Switching to Longlegs, he reads a book while looking possessed, but he is not alone and is greeted by a friend. Back to the FBI agents, Carter is mind-boggled by the idea that Longlegs butchered a family, returned 20 years later to the only survivor, and literally got her out of her catatonic state while they simultaneously discovered the doll at the farmhouse. With something not adding up, Lee thinks Longlegs is using the dolls to somehow control the fathers to kill the family. Carter then presses Lee and mentions how the Longlegs case was ice cold till she came along and believes she is hiding something. Reading over her file, he wants to know why her mother called the police on January 13, 1974, which was one day before her 9th birthday on the 14th. Describing the intruder as tall and pale, Lee genuinely has no idea about any of this and is told to go speak with her mother. Heading straight to her mother's house and going to her room, it would appear that her mother, Ruth, might have a few things wrong with herself.
will you tell me the honest truth? Do you still say your prayers?
No, Mom.
Making her mother something to eat, Lee's psychic abilities trigger a memory with her mother telling Lee tomorrow is her birthday. That night, someone had driven their car onto the property and Ruth attempted to call the police but was unable to. She instead grabs a shotgun and the scene cuts back to Lee wanting to walk through a door but is stopped by her mother. Lee then directly confronts her mother and asks what happened on her 9th birthday.
No, I don't think so. I don't remember anything, do you?
Clearly lying and hiding something, Ruth says something very strange and odd.
You're not a child because you were allowed to grow up. Not all of them are allowed to live.
What are you talking about?
Lee is more confused than before she arrived at the house and goes into her old bedroom. Looking at a chest she used to put her things in, she takes it back to her own home and looks through it. Hitting a gold mine and discovering a stack of Polaroids, she flicks through them and remembers Longlegs through a flashback. It would seem that the little girl at the very beginning was Lee Harker and now remembers that her mother confronted Longlegs. Longlegs, though, says he is a friend of a friend from the man downstairs. Heading straight to Carter's house, Lee hands over the photo of Longlegs and wants to start a manhunt. With the serial killer creating a new doll for his next project, he waits at a bus stop carrying 2 briefcases. Soon enough, though, law enforcement arrive from both sides and arrest him. Taking the monster straight to interrogation, it is revealed his real name is Dale Ferdinand Cobble. However, Longlegs wants to speak with Lee Harker and claims to know her through a friend of a friend of a friend.
Happy birthday, Lee Harker. Happy birthday to you.
With the department being told to scatter other than Harker and Browning, they problematically don't have any physical evidence of Longlegs killing anyone. Lee, however, believes there is an accomplice, someone the families comfortably let into their house. And as today is the 13th and the triangle needing to be complete, she believes his accomplice will kill the last family today. Needing Longlegs to reveal who the second accomplice is, Lee goes to talk to him.
Oh, the almost birthday girl.
Somehow knowing that Lee joined law enforcement at 20 years old, Harker wants to know who Longlegs' accomplice is. Longlegs states she was given the same choice as all of them, crimson or clover. Accept the gift and destroy it, but also destroy yourself or keep it and bow down, and get down to the dirty, dirty work.
Knock, knock. It's a nice lady with a Bible and a congratulations.
What did you say to her at the mental institution? That your work's over. Who's been helping you? Who is the man downstairs?
Why don't you ask your mommy?
Slamming his head on the table, he covers himself in blood, and you can guess what happens from here. Part 3, named Birthday Girls, kicks off with Carter lecturing the shit out of Lee for going too hard on Longlegs and causing his death. It also turns out that Carrie Ann died, which has completed the triangle. Saying there was no accomplices and no magic voodoo, he simply walks away. Browning offers to take Lee home and tells her that Ruth needs to be taken in for questioning, and Lee goes to fetch her. Walking through the property and going inside the house, her mother doesn't seem to be anywhere when suddenly Lee quickly looks through the window to see her mother is no angel and goes around the house. In a state of shock, Lee witnesses her mother aiming the shotgun at a doll replica of Lee as a child. With Lee telling Ruth to drop the gun and being very confused at the situation, Ruth puts a bullet through the doll's head, which causes Lee to collapse and pass out. Going through Ruth's past, she explains how it was just the two of them with no family or big bad wolves that used to visit. One day, though, a doll maker had come claiming to have an early birthday gift from the church. The doll maker had started his work, his terrible magic, a work of the devil, and a little bit of him in everyone. The doll made Lee forget everything, and with the devil wanting Lee, Ruth had come face to face with it and made a pact to help him in exchange for her daughter's life. With her new life's work now to literally kill families, she had developed a routine. Knocking on a door and claiming to be part of the church and handing over a gift, the family would let the doll inside the house, which was the devil's hiding place within the dolls. The devil did the rest of the work, and all Ruth had to do was watch and make sure everything happened as the devil wanted it to. Lee, now awake in none other than the dollmaker's house, quickly gets up and hears a phone ringing. Being tipsy, she goes to the sound of the phone, which is coincidentally in her mother's house. Answering it, the devil tells her she is late for Ruby's birthday party. Knowing which family is the next target, she steals her mother's car and races to Carter's home. Running towards the front door and knocking loudly on it, Carter answers alongside Anna, who are beyond happy to see Lee. Inviting their guest inside, Ruth is also there alongside Ruby's new doll. Not listening to a word Lee is saying, Carter and the rest of the family already seemed possessed.
Don't mind me. I'm just a friend of a friend.
With Lee pleading with Carter and the family to listen to her, they are no longer themselves and are already dead. Carter asks his wife to join him in the kitchen, and as they leave, Ruth tells her daughter if all three don't die, they themselves will burn in hell and twist and burn. doing all this for her daughter so that the little girl named Lee could grow up. Ruth went from house to house to house to kill family after family after family. Hearing Carter kill his beloved inside the kitchen, Ruth the satanic witch just watches Carter emerge and Lee is forced to kill him to save Ruby. With Ruth going to finish the job herself, Lee puts a bullet in her and tells Ruby to come with her. And with that, the movie ends as Lee presses her trigger at the doll, with nothing coming out. Remembering Longlegs singing her happy birthday, the movie shuts to a demonic close. Now it's time to have some fun. During the movie, there were scenes where the devil had a hidden cameo, but only for a few seconds at a time. Going through them one by one, I managed to find about 10 myself, but I still feel like I missed a few. The first one I caught is when Lee first started to look at the case. The devil was hidden in the background behind her, always one step ahead of everyone. The second cameo was quite easy and takes place after there was a loud knock on Lee's door. Looking outside, we see that both Longlegs and his demonic companion are standing there. Once Lee goes inside to see the package on her desk, we find our third appearance. Number 4, which I expected all of you to see, is when Lee is in the library herself and hears something on the window. The next one is also quite easy and occurs inside Longlegs' dollhouse where his good friend watches over him. Number 6 is very tough to find and appears when Lee was making food for her mother. The devil was hiding behind the door. And moving to number 7, we go back in time when Lee was busy with her treasure box, and yes, I had to turn the brightness up a touch to see him. Number 8 happens after Ruth killed Browning and Lee rushing to see what happened. The devil was only in sight for barely a second. And moving on to number 9, the demon towers over a young Lee as she sits on her bed. The final hidden cameo is when Lee goes to Carter's house to rescue him, but upon shutting the door behind themselves, we see the devil's reflection on the door. That's all I could find. If you managed to see any more hidden cameos, make sure to pop them down below in the comments, and as always, stay awesome and take care.